And I Googled a little bit about the business and I realized it was an $800 million business. What they do is go on Google, search for data about private companies, organize them on their website, and they sell that information for $80 million a year. That's crazy, right? And when he started, his first product was a wheelbarrow. They acquired 2 companies in the past.
A protein powder was so good, full of vitamin and stuff. Babies can use it.
Wow.
Moms can give it to their newborn. Gym, fanatics can use it. That's crazy.
AI is a double-edged sword, right? Data is everything. And in the AI age, if you can protect your data, you will do well. But if you can't,
when the market is right, they can go public and,
Hi, Daniel.
Hi there. So what are we talking about today?
Today we are going to talk about a business that I came across and I thought it was super fascinating. The name of the business is CB Insights. And we can dive in.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's do that. I'm actually very interested in, knowing more about businesses, their business model and all those kind of nice stuff as well. So yeah, that's a good thing. So where do you want to start? Do you want to kind of first talk a little bit about the company? The kind of how the company was funded, who is the owner of the company, those kind of background stuff. And then maybe later on we dive into the products and then maybe the market and etc. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the thing that was very fascinating about this business is that is a data business, right? It's a business that just sells data to people, and the way they do it is very fascinating. I didn't even know this could be a business, to be honest with you.
And wait, how did you come across the business first? Everyone knows this, yeah.
So basically, I was watching some podcasts online, and this guy came across and he was talking about. He was on another podcast. The CEO of the company, I think his name is Anand Sanwal, and he was talking about his business, how he started it, and all that. And I'm like, this is interesting, right? And I Googled a little bit about the business, and I realized it was an $800 million business.
Yeah, in terms of
Think
valuation,
about
right?
that. Yeah, that's the valuation of the business. And they were making 80 million revenue a year. And what they were doing is just, I'm going to simplify it. And if the CEO of this company, Anand, if you see this, don't take this personally, right? But I'm going to simplify it as like really dumb it down for the people. But basically, what they do is go on Google, search for data about private companies, organize them on their website, and they sell that information for $80 million a year. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, when you told me about the company, I also did a little bit of kind of Googling around, and really they sound. I mean, they are really interesting in how they package their service. It goes to say that you can sell everything if you package it well and have a great story and message the whole thing very, very well. So
I've learned a couple of things from watching and doing a little bit of research about CB Insight company, right? So basically, they started this company back in 2008. If you remember, 2008 in the US was like the financial crash. All the markets were crashing, real estate was down, everything was bad in the US, right? And Anand was working for, I believe, American Express. I don't know if you heard of this company. They provide like a credit card
sure.
and stuff like that. So he was leading their innovation fund, which is a 50 million fund that they use as their venture capital branch, right? And he was leading that fund at American Express. And from what he said, like he was pretty good. He was like, and he felt like if he didn't leave the company at the time, things were so kind of good enough where he could relax. Like, but he felt like he will feel bad later on in life that he didn't realize his dream of never starting a company. So although he was making good money and everything, he decided this was the time for him to build a company. And the other thing that pushed him to start his company was that the tools they were using to do their own research at his job were kind of subpar. Like they had some subscription with other companies to provide some kind of data on these private tech companies. But the data was just really, really bad. And every time they were trying to study these companies, they will realize that, man, like this data sucks. They have to not only, although they are already paying all these subscription fees, right? But the data they were getting, they couldn't trust the data. So some of his team members have to go back to Google and kind of verify the data. Imagine how frustrating that can be, where you are paying someone to give you the data, but the data just looks really bad, or some part of are missing and things like that. So you have to go back and do the research all over again. So there was a pain point there. So he decided, okay, let me go and figure this out. This could be the company that I can start, right? And the other thing was that at the time, he was kind of looking for ideas, right, to build a company. And he was also thinking of like the kind of idea he was exploring before even thinking of this one. One of them was like looking at Subway franchises, right?
Yeah, that's those are two very what am I saying? Those are two very different things, really. Yeah,
right. So I thought that was pretty funny that the business he was looking at, then he decided to go this route. So after he quit, he started this company with his own money. So he didn't raise any money at the beginning, right? He was basically, he hired a couple of people. He was paying out of pocket with his savings, right? And in 2008, 2009, his company almost went bankrupt. And you ask why, like, this sounds like a good idea, but well, it was 2008.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Nothing was working. People weren't paying like that. So they decided to, maybe what we can do, instead of just focusing on these tech startups and all these things, because all these companies were going down, they were not getting financing, and people were not interested in buying that data. So what they did was they were because they were doing something similar as well as American Express, right? They started doing some research on credit card usage, right? And when the stock market was tanking and everything like that, those investment firms became interested in what they were doing, because this data, the credit card usage data, can kind of provide you an overview of the general health of the economy, right? So someone got in touch with them and they were able to find some people to buy their research, like the credit card data research.
Okay.
So that's how they started. They started making a little bit of money, and the company didn't go bankrupt.
No, really, that's interesting. For kind of the entrepreneurs out there, it's all about finding a problem first. You find a problem,
Right.
and then you try to solve it. So yeah, that's interesting. And regarding the data stuff, as someone that has worked in consulting, that's something we kind of face a lot, and especially when you are working on countries where there are very limited data on those companies, you really struggle. And the data that you get, even though you paid for them, the process that they use to collect those data, and sometimes you just don't trust them.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. What was the next step then for them after selling their first kind of research? How did the company go kind of forward, basically?
Yeah, after they started selling the credit card information, they started making a little bit of money. So they started focusing on what they set out to do in the first place, which was collecting data on tech companies, like private tech companies, startup companies, and just organizing that data in a way that is very, very accessible to anyone, basically. And by anyone, I mean people who are interested in that kind of data, like venture capital, merger and acquisition firms, and all sort of private equity firms, or even people who just wanted to invest in the market or buy small companies, right? Anybody who is interested in buying some kind of companies or studying the tech market can be a user of this product. So they started by just, collecting data, like scraping the web, finding information. And later on, they automated all that process with some machine learning And on the side, right, to acquire customers, at the beginning, what they were doing is that they will reach out to media companies, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all those guys. And if those people were writing about this company or this company or this product, they will provide those media companies with some of the data that they have.
Yeah.
And that data, whenever they provide it for free, actually, they provide it for free. And they ask the journalists to kind of put their link in the article that they write. So with time, people will read those articles and be like, oh, what is this CB Insight link, right? And they'll click on it, and that's how they will acquire customers. So that's how people were able to find them and know that they exist, right?
Yeah.
And once that's kind of the hook. You click on the link as a customer, you go to their website, and they give you a free trial. They give you a free trial, and you start, once you start using the free trial, they will get on a call with you and then sell you the product.
I see.
Right?
I see. Yeah, that's really, that's actually smart and really, is, I mean, for, all the entrepreneurs is no, I mean, the first thing to do is not to run after profit, right? Based on, the kind of entrepreneur playbook is just first you need to gain a little bit of market share, get yourself, known on the market. And they seem to have done that really, really well. So yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of, let's talk a little bit about their product now. I mean, what kind of services do they provide exactly? I know, you touch a little bit on that in terms of, the data, how they, they clean up the data, make it very digestible, and then sell it to people. What kind of services exactly do they provide?
Based on my research, I was able to see about 4 different types of offering that they provide to their customers. The first one is their platform. Just think of it as a website, right? It's a way for their users to interact with their data. Imagine you have all this data, you save it somewhere in a database, right? And to provide a way for users to actually consume this data, you need some kind of interface. So they have a platform or a website where people will go and log in, and they can basically search for all these private companies. They can search for any sub-market in the tech space. They can see how much venture capital has provided to that segment of the market over a period of time. So they have all this chart, all this information about almost every tech company that you can think of, right? So that's one of the aspects of their offering. I can go a little bit in detail, but I don't know how much detail to go in so that I don't bore people. But one or two things that I would mention, right? You can compare this product as to Crunchbase. If anybody has ever used Crunchbase, you can go on Crunchbase today, type the name of a startup, and you can see maybe the people who are running the company, right? You can see the people who invested in the company, how much they raised, the different product that they are offering and stuff like that. So they are doing that. And they have all these backlinks that can take you from one product page to the other. And they have also information about who is running the company. And one interesting thing that I've also seen is that they are able to rate some of these companies and their management team. And I thought that was so clever, because if you look at anybody or any other company operating in this segment, they are not really offering that. Like Crunchbase, for example, it doesn't offer you a rating whether this company is a good company or not. But think of someone who is like a venture capitalist or a private equity firm, right? Who is looking at this data, and maybe some of this data is overwhelming, or he wants to compare this company to this company because they kind of do the same thing, right? But the differentiating factor might be that this management team is from Google, and this management team, we never heard of them, right? And that can make a difference for people who are investing and making these big bets. So they offer something like that allows them to kind of rate these companies as well.
On every company profile, I can see hundreds of data points, ranging from its financial overview, transactions they've made, who their competition is, and the business relationships they have in place. But what I can also see is a mosaic score. Predicting startup success is about far more than just financial metrics. This is our proprietary score that can predict the future success of a company. And to date, our analysts have used it to predict 75% of unicorns. Mosaic looks at 4 things. Momentum. We factor in key partnerships, news mentions, and sentiment that push a company forward. Market. This weighs the financings, exits, and amount of investors in that particular area. Money. Company funding, burn rate, and its financial positioning relative to its industry peers. And lastly, management mosaic. This is the first ever algorithm to demystify the quality of a startup's founding and management team. We analyze all of the outcomes people have achieved in the past to predict how well they can execute in the future. All 4 of these combine to produce a score to benchmark companies against. You can not only use Mosaic to compare companies across the entire market, but also in different stages too, to not only help you assess the health of the big players today, but also predict the ones of tomorrow.
Something else I think they do as well, or they offer, is their research, right? They have analysts on their team that run this research on some of these companies. For example, an analyst can write something about AI and how the whole niche of AI is progressing.
I see.
Right.
The whole thing is very interesting because I also spend a little bit of time trying to understand what they do, and the kind of services that you pointed out are some of the ones that I also found really interesting. And for me, the key thing is providing just data is, I would say, easy. I would say easier comparing to like the story or the so what about the data, because a lot of data can mean different things, but providing the so what, that's the value add really. And that's what I found really fascinating. And things around their how they provide market mapping, competition landscape understanding, and all those things are very, very useful. And for the fee that they are charging, that's quite cheap comparing to what you will get from consulting companies that will charge you a lot for those things. So for me, the so what bit was one of the kind of things that was very, very was very, very good for me. And beside that, the kind of predictive part of things, because when I went through the website, I felt like they are moving a little bit toward business analytics. I know that their core business is like business intelligence, but when you start kind of trying to get into the predictive part of things, which is trying to get the outlook of how a sector is going to be performing, how a company is going to be performing in the future, and etc. That goes into the predictive part of things, and a lot of companies are not doing that. So those are the 2 things that I found very, very interesting: the so what, and then the predictive analysis part. So I mean, regarding the product, do you think there are something else we need to cover? I'm just flicking through.
As far as a way to also market their product, I already told you about one where they're contacting the media companies. They also had a newsletter offering, and because they in their newsletter they were giving very good detailed explanation or coverage about all these businesses. Their newsletter became extremely popular. These days, I think they've passed more than 1 million subscribers on their newsletters. What they are doing is that some of these interviews, they will take some of the data that they thought were very pertinent to people, and they will feature them in the newsletter. Also, the market mapping that you talked about, where they will present companies in a certain market, show which one is the best, which one is doing well, which one is not doing well. They will talk about all those things, but they will package the whole information in a certain way that for people who didn't even know that some of this company existed or what this company did, they were learning about that in the newsletter.
I see.
So think about it. I have a newsletter of 1 million people. 1 million people. Let's say 50% are opening my email every day or every week, right? If I am a company, I'm a private company, that means not a lot of people know about me.
Yeah.
And I have an opportunity to be in front of 500,000 people that
That's a
are
lot.
maybe investors, maybe people who want to buy my product, maybe private equity, like all these people in finance, right? Who can be beneficial to me is a no-brainer.
Based on all the things you've said, the company is a really good one. It's quite interesting, and in terms of the market that they are playing in, is just the business intelligence market. So that's really their core market.
Right.
And actually, that's quite a big market, worldwide. And it was estimated in 2021 around $23 billion, which is quite big. And the market is growing, pretty fast as well. It's a fast growing market, and it's predicted to grow around like 7% in the coming 5 years, and it will reach around like 35 billion in around like 2028. So they are well positioned in a good market. And really, this market is kind of driven by the first kind of thing that's driving the market is about the popularity or the rising popularity of the fact that every company want to use data now to make more reliable business decisions, whether it is to cut cost or reduce their just solve the problems that they have, or become more efficient, and overall just to get a better bottom line, right? So
Right.
that's the main driver of the market, and that will be like the demand part of things. And beside that, you have the supply part of things as well, which has been helping this market a lot, and that will be mainly the strong IT infrastructure that we have now. With last time I believe we talked about the GPU kind of scarcity,
Right.
and that plays a big part in this, because you have to use AI, machine learning, and you need a GPU to do that. And 10 years ago, the GPU capability wasn't good, so now is really good. So that has helped quite a lot as well. And the last one I would say is the availability of data. A few years ago there was no data at all. I mean, in most countries that there were very very few data, but these days there are more and more data. People spend a lot of time online. So Google has been doing, I don't want to say a good job, but Google has been capturing a lot of data. There are a lot of data out there. There are social media and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of data there basically. So those are the drivers of their market. But the things that I just described, those are just kind of background information that don't mean much if you don't put them in the right context. So regarding CB Insights, what is very very interesting is the fact that they are not like a big player of that market. If you take the business intelligence market, which is quite big, they're not a big player. The thing for them is the fact that they have carved out like a market niche for themselves, in which they are playing. So if you take the business intelligence market, you will see that there are many sectors. So there'll be a focus on some company will be in, let's say, in healthcare, others will be, I don't know, consumer, or others will be trying to do everything. But then they've decided to just focus on
tech.
Exactly, tech, everything around investment, private equity, and also they've been very very kind of focus in terms of customers regarding the ones that I just named before. So everything regarding, private equity, angel investment, and also corporate strategy. So those are the key kind of things that they are playing around. And beside those, they are not involved in, anything else. So they have a very good niche in which they are very, very well positioned. If you look at the market as a whole, you will think like, they are a very small company. Because if you were to compare them with, the large ones, for example, let's say, I don't know,
Gartner, for example, is a big one. I just checked out their market cap.
Yeah.
They are a public company. Gartner is a public company. They operate in a lot of sectors. It's not just tech, like a lot of sectors, but a lot of big companies use them. When I used to work at Salesforce, CEO will always come out and say, hey, we've been rated in this magic quadrant of Gartner or something like that. I never understood what it meant, but while I was going through this research, I noticed that, okay, these are things that these big tech companies care about, and Gartner doesn't just operate in tech, they operate in other sectors as well. But Gartner's market cap is at $25 billion. That is a very big company.
Those kind of big corporations, I don't know, the Garden of this world, the Microsoft Corporation, because Microsoft does a lot of business intelligence as well, SAP, SAS, all those big ones. So it's very, very different, and it will be unfair to compare, those to a CB Insight. Yeah, but I mean, I was saying before that the market is growing really well. I mean, the market is predicted or, expected to grow really, really, really well, in the coming years. There is a little bit of kind of but because there are, challenges on that market as well. And really, I think the main one is about data. Earlier, I said that, there are more data available, but, if you are, let's say a CB Insight, for example, finding all those data and then having, those right source of data all the time is a struggle. I think that's one area in which they will be kind of investing a lot of money.
Yes.
So I think,
and I want to add that they actually have invested money in this. They acquired 2 companies in the past.
Yeah.
That were already in this space. One of them is a company called Block Data, and another one called Venture Source. And they both acquired both in 2020. One was in July, that was Venture Source, and the other one was in September, that was Block Data. Block Data, I think they also in the market intelligence sector.
Yep.
And they also provide information about blockchain, crypto, and all those things.
Yeah.
And Venture Source, which is I think is the bigger company, was doing quite similar to what CB Insight was doing.
Yeah.
They had data points about a data set. Basically, they have a data set that included about 100,000 private companies and 500,000 plus business leaders and 7,000 plus service providers. And this include like investment banking and law firms and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's actually quite a lot of data, because I mean, if you've done any research on private companies before, you'll know that it's very, very difficult to find information around.
It's very difficult to find any information.
It is really difficult. So I think that's like one of their major challenges. Beside that one, what I would say is the integration side of things. Many of their customers and customers in general, in terms of tech, they love, having their solutions integrated to current solution that they are using, or current tools that they are using. So making sure that their solution or their services kind of integrate very seamlessly with all their customer solution is a big point as well. So that's something in which they'll be.
And I want to add that they've actually have solution for that as well. When you compare what they've done with their competitors, most of their competitors don't have this. But this is what they've done. They've if you go to their website, you see that they have an API which allows you, like, you can sign up and become a user of the API. I'm sure it's not free. You have to jump through some hoops, but you can become a user of the API, and basically you can, if you're a company, you can integrate their data into your own tools. So let's think of something like Salesforce, which is a CRM solution, right? Where you are using it for sales and managing contract and stuff like that. Or even buying a software solution, right? And they already have integration done for these things, like Salesforce. So you can download or install their application on the Salesforce platform, and you can literally query or have information about some of these companies that your company is already dealing with, have information about them. You and have like contact names and stuff like that. People who already work in the company that you might need to contact to have information or discuss sales or other stuff with, right? So that's one thing. They have like they are also integrated with Teams, Slack. Even they have like a Chrome plugin. And you don't have to go to their website and do whatever you need to do. If you are not satisfied with that, and if you have your on-premise software that you've built for your company, you can interface with the API and pull the data right from there into your own software and see it there as well. So they've they've been around for a while, since 2008. That's almost 15 years, right? So they've covered a lot of ground that their competitors haven't done.
That's actually quite good in terms of what they've done. And I was talking about challenges, right? And the last one I would say is about the skills or the people that they have. So they need to be the best one. And in the business intelligence market, skill force is something that's very, very important. So making sure that you have good ones and keep them is really, really good. But overall, what we've been saying here is that they are in a very good market, which is the business intelligence one, which is expected to grow really, really well in the coming years. And they've carved out a niche for themselves by focusing on everything regarding insight on private companies and startups for all the people in investment and strategy related functions. So that's their focus, and they seem to be doing really, really well in terms of positioning on the market. So I don't know if you have anything to add on their market side of things.
I would like us to talk a little bit about the kind of customers that are using their products, right?
So let me just mention one thing that I think is quite important as well before we jump into the customers. So one thing that's very, very kind of important is this whole AI trend that we are witnessing, and leveraging AI is really, really key in what they are doing actually, and that's something I've seen that they are doing, and really continuing to do that is really, really important, because it seems like AI is the future, really, right? So this trend, they need to be on top of this trend. And let's talk about customers now.
I would also like to add to that fact that this is for anybody who is in the data business today, right? This is a very scary time for them as well. AI is a double-edged sword, right? It can be good when you are using it for yourself, but when you have big companies like OpenAI that is scraping the web and basically processing, using all the internet data and extracting information from it, like taking books even, right? People have written books, have written research papers. They are taking all that. So in this day and age, if you're in the data business, you have to be, data is everything. And in the AI age, if you can protect your data, you will do well. But if you can't get, hacked, or you are not protective of your data, you leave it out there, and all the crawlers on the internet can access it. Then your data is no longer relevant, because it can be accessed without even talking to you, basically. Exactly. And it can be accessed in a very efficient way.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a very, very good point. I think I will even put that into threats, right? And I think before I talk a little bit about them, going into more of, the SWOT of the data, right? That's the part that the AI can't do. I mean, AI can analyze the data, but AI predicting the future and really giving the SWOT of the data, AI can't do that. AI can't properly do the market mapping and making sure that people really, really understand the market. Those are things that are very, very difficult for the AI to do. So, investing more on those services, they're reporting things that, add value to customer, instead of just providing, the raw, not the raw, but the polished data is very important. But so let's talk about customers now.
I know you said AI can't do it, but it's just a matter of time. I'm gonna tell you right now. At work, people are talking about not needing data scientists anymore, because ChatGPT can do some of their jobs, right? So, and I'm not lying to you. This is a real threat. This is a real threat. Today, right? You can literally take a screenshot of a chart, or 10 charts if you want. Put it in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will explain exactly what is going on. I'm talking about a picture, not even type something. Upload the picture to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will tell you that, okay, this is what is happening in this. This is the trend that I'm seeing. It can do that. So if you have data today, and you are saying that only human can write a report, I would argue against it. Maybe
Yeah, I
they
mean,
might not be able to
it's
write.
not about.
Yes, it can predict the future, right? It can, like, but it can do as good of a job as a human on certain topics in certain scenarios.
So what I would say is that for certain scenarios, as you said, the AI can do quite a decent job. But when it comes to things that are related to, let's say, a market mapping, for example,
Right.
I'm not sure at this stage AI can do like a market mapping. AI can list, the players, give you, their profile. I think it will be difficult for the AI to make all the links that a human being can make in doing like, let's say a market research, a market analysis. I don't think AI can do that really. And you still need a human being to do that. And there are many things that are involved. You talk about their analysts, for example, that speak with people, right? If you are doing, let's say, a market report or reviewing like a market, let's say we are reviewing the consumer market, for example, for I don't know, tech. It's not just about taking the data online and also just aggregating those data and then getting polishing them and then trying to create a story. It's not only about that. There is an important part which is about speaking with people. So for all type of market report that I've done in the past, you have to speak to market experts. You can't get that online really. You need to speak with those people, and AI can do that. And that's when
now
a human being makes the difference. So AI can do the job that's sitting behind in terms of data crunching,
right,
analyzing the data, but making a real sense of the data. That's
it's
where
tough.
AI is a little bit behind.
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
I
We ended up
agree
talking
with that
about AI for
assessment.
like 5
making
minutes.
real sense of the data. A human still needs to be involved, but yeah,
exactly.
I agree with the general sentiment. Yeah,
cool. Maybe AI will reach that kind of stage one day. I hope I'm not going to be alive, but cool.
Yeah, let's dive into the customer. So one of the things that the Anand spoke about when he was on one of the podcasts was that at the beginning, when he started his company, he was charging like a monthly fee of like $5.95, and you have all these customers who will come and they will have a lot of requests. They were never happy and stuff like that, and that was kind of even slowing the business down, because you will think of maybe like a retail investor who was buying CB Insight and paying $500 a month, right? And at the same time, you have the CEO of JP Morgan, for example, or someone who works under him, who is also buying the same product. They are both paying the same price, but the retail investor is always on the phone looking for support and complaining about stuff. So basically, one of the higher ups, when you talk about customer, from on the CB Insights side, told Anand that, man, like, you have to increase your price, because I don't want to be in the same line as this guy, right? Like, I need your help. I can't get your help because you're helping this guy who probably doesn't know really how to use this tool, right? So they decided to like really increase their price. And from some of the research that I've done, they are kind of charging like 50,000 to 80,000 a year, depending on the combination of the offering that you are using on their platform. So I was like, man, this is not a cheap product. So definitely, when I did like further in my research, the people who are using this product are like, some of the subscription are like directly coming from bigger companies. I saw like a video on YouTube where Cornell University was offering this to some of their business students for free, and because they already bought the subscription. And you have like a big banks and venture capitals as well who are using this, where 50,000 for them, when they are going to spend 30 million to buy something, 50,000 is literally nothing, But I just think of like,
Yeah.
man, this is a high ticket business. It's not like a $5.99 or $10.99 SaaS software as a service product that is on the internet, you know.
No, you are totally right on that. Even the story that you just told reminded me of one thing that I came across in, I don't know, I think that was in a Good to Great book. So it was basically about this lady that was creating a company, right? And she had protein powder.
Okay.
And her protein powder was so good, full of vitamin and stuff, that babies can use it. So moms can give it to their newborn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And also gym, fanatics can use it. And then, the veggie people, the vegan, plant-based and whatever also can use it.
Yeah.
And all of them like the product, right? They kind of like the product. And this lady was unable to kind of make the product successful. And that's one of the most difficult, challenges that, an entrepreneur can have. Meaning that, having a product that a lot of people like a little bit, that's so difficult because you don't know you have to pick one.
Right.
And you can't stick with all of them. So you have to pick one. So that's very difficult. And I think they managed to do a really, really good job here regarding, increasing the price and then get rid of, all those customers that were kind of asking for a lot of support and not helping them. But in terms of the big companies that are using the product, I mean, I've seen, their success stories as well, some with 3M and some other venture capital and banks on their website. And yeah, they are doing really, really well. And I would say that's, the kind of genius part of, their business model in terms of focusing on just investment and then a corporate strategy related function as a customer. It makes everything really, really focused. You know who you are targeting, and you just go directly there.
Yeah, I still think about this, right? Like when you're even telling me the story about the lady who was producing the protein powder, also it made me go back to another podcast I listened to about the creator of the Dyson vacuum, right?
Yeah, he's British, right? Yeah.
He's British, exactly. And when he started, his first product was a wheelbarrow, like that people use on a construction site. And he said that it was super well designed. He had like success designing that and all that. But the reason why he failed was that it was too cheap. And he noticed that when things are too cheap, people don't respect it. And they don't give it like the value that it's supposed to. Even if it's something that is useful, because it's cheap. I don't know. It's just something with the human consciousness that does that to us, where like we don't value it as much. And since that day,
do you know what?
Since that day, right? Every product that he has launched, he has decided to. That's his business strategy. He makes sure that the product is kind of overpriced. Like if you look at any Dyson product today, right? Most people cannot buy it. Like the general population cannot buy, unless like you're at least like middle class. Is like some of their vacuum is like $400, right?
I mean, it depends, right? So what I wanted to say first is that, this whole theory of yours is kind of validating what Apple has been doing by overcharging everybody on their phone. That's really crazy. But in terms of, the Dyson, I think you are totally right. But some of their products are not that expensive. I have a vacuum that's Dyson. But it's a one with like a cord, so it's not cordless. So it's one with a cord, so it's not trendy, right? Because everybody's buying, cordless now. So it's a little bit cheap.
When
like
you compare that same product with the competition, there is a big gap.
Yep.
That's what I meant. Like it's not that is out of reach to people, but there is a big gap. Like if I'm making, I don't know, minimum wage, right? I'll probably not buy Dyson. I'll buy something that is cheaper. That's what I say. I'm trying to say.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I think pricing plays, a really big role, right? And for people that are kind of launching their business, as we discussed before regarding customers, knowing exactly who is your customer profile is so important.
Yeah.
Instead of having a product that's liked by one or two, liked by maybe three different customer profile, and you don't quite know, which one to go for. I think we had similar problem on one of the ventures that we had together, and we were unable to kind of know exactly who were our customers. Exactly, and we did struggle quite a bit on that, but so, I mean, after the customers, I did do a little bit of research on their competition as well. And really, the most interesting thing here is basically kind of who they compete with in terms of like categories. So this is how I kind of classify them. So first I have the large corporations, right? The global corporations, which are, the ones that we talked about before, the SAPs, the Microsoft, all the large companies that do, business intelligence and really have, all these tools. So that's the first box. And the second box is about all the financial generalist business intelligence. And here I will put, all the kind of the Thomsons, the S&P. S&P has a platform as well that does something similar. I can even add PitchBook, which is a platform that a lot of private equity and investors use for, data and stuff. So all those kind of large financial you can even add Morningstar. So that's the second box. And then on the third box, we will have all these niche players that are either kind of focused on startups or private companies, and will be providing, business intelligence to them. And this is where, their kind of a proper competitors are kind of located, right? And here we are talking about, the Crunchbase, the Scopy. I found one that's named Scopy, Matamark, and all those really. But yeah, it's really interesting when you kind of compare, their product and how they really differentiate. And as we said before, CB Insights mainly focus on, private tech companies. And startups are in the mix as well, customer-wise, investment and strategy-related functions. And in terms of product as well, I managed to kind of group them into kind of few categories, or 6. So they do, market mapping, company profiling as well, target rating with their Mosaic platform. They do company tracking. They will track like all those kind of startups and etc. And they do integration. They have like their integration tools as well. And then finally, they have like competition kind of landscape services that they provide as well. So those are like all the things that they provide. And if you were to compare them to third box that I talked about, there is a huge difference, right? And if you start with like Crunchbase, for example, right? Crunchbase, the price. For CB Insight, we didn't even talk about the pricing, but their price is quite high. We talked a little bit about that before. Price is quite high, but if you come to Crunchbase, the price is quite low. It's like it's not even 10 50, 100.
It's not even close. It's
100th of CB Insight, because Crunchbase is like 500 per year, while CB Insight is like 50K.
Yeah, it's like
so
100 times
exactly,
almost.
Exactly. But the service is really, really different, because Crunchbase is mainly company profiling. So you go there, you will see tons of companies. They have all the information regarding those companies' funding, their team, all the generic information that you can want on the company. So you will find those there. They do a little bit of company tracking as well. And their kind of revenue, I think, is actually around 60 million, which I was a little bit surprised about. I thought they will have something a little bit lower, but they have
a lot of... That's Crunchbase?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
who have thought? That's a lot of money.
That's an estimated one.
But still, like 60 million of just doing company profiling and providing links and that's good.
Yeah, actually, they started at the same time. They started 1 year before CB Insight. And this concept called first mover advantage. So if you are the first one in the in the sector, you have an advantage on
Yes.
all the companies that are coming in, because you get to learn more about the sector. You are the first one that everybody knows as well, and etc. So
Yeah.
Crunchbase and CB Insight had that advantage. And also in terms of customer, I think Crunchbase will have like 10 times more customer than
because
CB Insight.
the price of entry is very low too, so
yeah, exactly.
they will have more customer by
exactly.
default.
And also, if you check, like I think I use SimilarWeb to check their the website engagement, so how many people come on the website,
the traffic,
the traffic and etc. The one of Crunchbase is huge, man. It's millions and millions, while I think
CB
around 2 million I saw. While CB Insight was in hundreds really. So that's the difference between those two. And also I came across like a French company called Scopai, and they are just focused on startups, really. Focus on startup. They do company profiling, they do a little bit of competition landscape as well, and they integrate the solution quite well as well with customer solution. But they are very small. The revenue seems to be around like 2 million. I came across quite few companies that went bankrupt as well, that were doing the same thing. And one last one that I found quite interesting as well was Matamark, that does similar thing, focus on startups, company profiling, company rating. They do rating as well, and their revenue is like very, very little, less than 1 million. So those are the companies that I found. So I said before, three type of companies, the large corporations, and then after that you have the kind of the financial generalist, and then after that you have the real kind of niche startup and private companies kind of players, that we talk about, CB Insight, etc. So
that makes me think about the choices that you make when you have a company, and the kind of customers that you want. I know we spoke a little bit about it before, but if we compare these two, is like for people who are already in tech, or even if you have a phone, this is basically comparing Apple and iOS and Android, right? CB Insight is iOS, and Crunchbase is Android. And both are like, one is extremely expensive, and one is like the price of entry is like pretty low. Everybody can afford it, but they are kind of doing the same revenue almost. That's very impressive.
Yeah,
especially in a business like the market intelligence, business intelligence market. It's very interesting.
I totally agree with you. There is this formula that has always fascinated me, right? It's called the wealth formula. And I came across this book called The Fast Lane Millionaire.
Right.
And really is about value add multiplied by the volume. And the value add will determine the price. So value add is basically the price. So what this guy is saying, basically, if you create a company, the service that you are providing to people, that's going to be, the value add. And if the value add is big, you can have, a big price. And if you manage to get a big volume, you are in the billions. If the value add is low, but you manage to get a lot of volume, you are in the millions, and then etc. But you see what I'm saying? So basically, for CB Insight, the value add is big,
right,
and the volume is low. And they are in the millions. And for what's the name, for Crunchbase is the opposite. The value add is very low, but the volume is huge. So they are like on par. So that's a good one. Besides the whole competition landscape, right? One thing that I wanted to mention as well is about their the kind of a barrier to entry into this market, right? Because that's going to determine how competitive the space is, right? I'm not a specialist in business intelligence, but I think in terms of initial investment, if you want to create like a business intelligence platform, is something which is like medium. I think is not like huge amount of money, like I don't know, like building a plane or whatever. I know it's consequent, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like a huge amount of money. I think the key things will be about, as we said before, data source. So I think that's going to be like the challenging part, and that will raise kind of the barrier to entry to this industry. So having like all those data source and making sure that you get the right data, I think that's the really, really tricky part. But overall, what I want to say on the barrier of entry is that it's not low and it's not high neither. So it should be something like, something medium, like something average. So, based on, what I've read, that's what I can say about that. But yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm going to say now is not like directly related to business intelligence, but it's, when we talk about like, people who are economists, for example, some of them who had like a very long careers are now like the one that put their name out there, right? They have their own research firms, and sometimes they are the only one managing them. Like they are the main figures. Like they are the only person working there, or is a very small team, right? So I know two of them. One of them is called David Rosenberg. I think he manages Rosenberg Research. He's on Twitter a lot, and there is another one. I'm trying to remember the name, but for example, for those people, they do their own market research, not necessarily business intelligence, but they are more focused on the stock market, the economy, and basically geopolitical, macroeconomic environment and stuff like that. And they do a lot of good research, and they write, blogs about what is going on in the market, how they try to predict how things are going to go and all that stuff. Those people also make more than $1 million a year on their own, just doing research and writing about it. And they do this to a certain point where like the big media like Fox News, CNBC, all those people call them as consultants when they are doing their shows. They call them to come and talk and give their perspective. So what I will say is, I'm not going to say anybody can start this kind of thing, but if you have enough interest, right, you can carve a niche for yourself and do it as well. And this, I think, can be applied to many, 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 many sectors. Like if we take somebody like this YouTuber, for example, Marques Brownlee, right? We can say that he's doing something similar in tech, in consumer tech, right? Where he's doing his deep research into this tech product and reviewing them, making videos about them, right? So it's just about the interest and the barrier of entry. If you niche it down to a very low level, I don't think the barrier entry is like, you don't need to be 80 million revenue, right? But if you look at those people like Marcus Brownlee, those people I'm sure they are clearing at least 10 million every year, right? So I guess it's just about how much interest a person has, and how niche it is. Like I'm sure someone out there can do this for like the onion market, or like I don't know, potato market or something like that, right? So that's my view on this.
I mean, what I would say is that you can just take the same idea or take the same business model, right, and then apply it to another sector. Because what he's doing, what Anand is doing, is just focus on tech, right? Tech and investment, a combination of those, right? You take it and you apply it to another sector, because overall, all we know, right, regarding private companies is that it's really, really difficult to find information on them. And there are investors and companies out there that are paying tons of money to do what we call like preliminary market research. So usually before all the acquisition and stuff like that, even before getting into the bidding process, many of these companies will do what they call preliminary research. So this preliminary research doesn't go too deep. So it's just basically to have a taste or a feel of the market and really understand it, so that you can at least make like bidding decisions. So those small kind of preliminary research projects are very expensive normally. And I guess that's actually one of the reasons why he's able to charge this type of money, because those preliminary research are more expensive than this. It's like triple, quadruple this money. So you can just pick that and then apply it to another sector.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit now about the future, right? Where do you see this company going forward? What's your kind of, I don't know, prediction? Something that AI can't do. So yeah,
I think the fact that they are using AI and they are aware, because just hearing the CEO talk, he knows that the data is gold for him. So the data he has collected over the years is the gold, is what differentiates the company. So it has to be protected at all costs, right? So that's one thing. So I think as far as he's able to protect that and able to find more people in more customers, because we know that tech is just going to get better and better. A lot of progress in the last 20 years have been in tech. If you take tech and you take other sectors like healthcare, agriculture, anything else, right? There has been way more progress in tech than anywhere else.
So you are biased, right? Because you are in tech.
I am, because I follow tech closely, right? I'm pretty sure that if you look at tech, right, and the impact that it has on people's life compared to other sectors, right, and you see the innovation in tech and you compare it to other sectors, when you talk about how much innovation is happening, tech is by far like way better in comparison to the other sectors, right?
Yep.
Unless you have an example to give me, but this is my assumption. I'm gonna go off this assumption, right?
Okay,
so for him to be in the tech space, that's already a good thing. It's a good place to be, because the numbers don't lie. When you look at the big competitors that he has as well, right? The Crunchbase and Pitch Desk or Pitch Deck or whatever the name is, right? PitchBook, right? They are also making some money, right? And their revenue, even though there is a little bit of competition, their revenue is kind of comparable. So I think that area is going to continue to grow. But for me, the big fear is that someone can come right now, write a very specialized AI and disrupt whatever they're doing. If someone is really determined to compete with them, and the person and it's going to depend on where the person is coming from. Like, let's say someone is working in the VC world, right? Someone is coming from that world, right? That person already has like a good view of the landscape. And if you are already in that niche or that environment, access to that data is going to be a little bit easier for you. And if you are really good at machine learning, I think you can build something comparable. But it's going to be tough, right? You have to spend millions and millions, basically.
So let me jump on what you said, let's say one by one. So I will start with the last one. Okay. I would say I disagree a little bit. I know that it could be quite easy. Not easy, but it could be a little like, it could be not difficult. Let me say that. Not difficult, not too difficult to build this thing if someone were to write like a very good AI. But the other side of this business, based on all the things that we've talked about, is regarding all the good decisions that they've made in terms of like strategy.
Right.
And I also think that they seem to have built a really good relationship with their customers, because seeing all those success stories on their website and stuff, based on the fact that they are, they have like not too many customers comparing to like Crunchbase, for example.
Right.
I think those things, right, in business have a worth, and you can't just come with like a new shiny product and expect everyone to jump on your bad on your.
That's a good point.
On your, in your car. So someone else can come. The company can be competitive, but as long as CB Insight is remain true to their value, keep investing in their AI, in their kind of data sourcing, and then having a really good relationship with their customers, I think they can remain there. And even I think even now their margin should be quite high. So if there is a new player on the market, they can even play with those margins by decreasing their prices a little bit.
Yeah, or they can just buy them.
Exactly.
Because they have
so
the revenue.
I think they have a little bit of leverage, I would say. But I totally understand what you mean. So that's what I would say. But on my side, right, when I think about their future, what I see is that they will have maybe 2 or 3 choices to make, right? I think the first one would be, I don't know what the owner Anand has in his mind, but the obvious one would be being acquired by another company. And for that, I see few acquirers there. So I would say, we talk about the kind of financial generalist that are doing like business intelligence.
Yeah.
So if you take, I don't know, S&P Capital IQ, for example, they are the arm of S&P that does a similar thing, but for public companies.
Right.
So they would love, for example, to improve their, services for like, private companies and startups and stuff. So they can jump on this and try to buy them. Though, S&P Capital IQ, their worth is, their valuation is very, very low. But I'm sure S&P or Morningstar or the others can pull that.
The big ones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And beside those ones, even the global corporations, I don't know, maybe SAP or one of those would like to jump on that idea, for example. So that's one route. And the second one is for the company to kind of, continue growing and in a few years go public. And, when the market is right, they can go public and, the owner can reap some of his
his
hard work.
The fruits of his hard work, yeah.
Exactly. So that would be, the second route that I have for them. But yeah, overall, I would say that, the company has quite a bright future. And, the fact that they carve out a niche for themselves and they are very innovative as well, I think they will do well. In terms of like advice for the management is, what I would say is, I think it's something that I've said before actually, is mainly about, going a little bit more towards that kind of predictive analysis part, which is a little bit into like business analytics. So they need to do maybe a little bit more of that, and that will really differentiate them even more compared to their competitors, Crunchbase, and etc. And just keep doing what you're doing now, because you are doing really, really great. So
we are fans of yours, Anand. So if one day you want to get on our podcast, we will be happy to have you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. His Twitter feed are crazy though.
Yeah, very, very good Twitter feed.
Cool. I think that's it. It's a wrap.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.